Hey folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Berzon.
I think he finished his name. This is the Tornado Tony Pentagon.
And Psychic Tom Badger with a clear crystal ball.
Alright, I gotta send you a picture I keep meaning to, Tom. It's on one of my phones. It's a crystal ball and it says, you should tell more people to fuck off. In the middle of the crystal ball. Perfect for you.
That'd be something I would use.
Anyway,
I was so great last week. I was on a conference call with work. I basically told the management team that one of their biggest clients is either lazy or incompetent.
Well then.
I don't know if they like that.
I guess not. Well, the biggest controversy this week happens to be in boxing, and, we'll talk about the fact that you guys were wrong about it being a competitive fight later. But the big controversy was on the undercard with Franco Maloney, too. And Franco
Oh my God.
won the first one and goes into the second one, and there was a clash of heads. Now, I don't know if you can differentiate between a bump and a clash, but this was the science that took 27 minutes to figure out if the referee was right or not. And we had the announce team.
How many officials did that take?
Right.
They got even another referee in. And all the while, monologue from the country tour about the professionalism. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm still mad about it. Let me just...
Well, which side are you on, Tom? Are you on the Maloney side or the no contest side?
I have to be with Maloney on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, the NSAC has said there is, without a doubt, no evidence to show that it was anything other than a head clash. And they have put out pictures and recordings and audio. Now, the one thing I will say about this, okay, the replay that they were trying to debunk, basically, on the broadcast team, did show that the top of his head made contact with the guy's eye socket. Now, I don't know how many times you guys have been in that situation where even if you got tapped very lightly on your orbital bone that goes around the outer portion of your eye socket, but there's no skin there, really. That's all there is, really. It's just skin. There's no fatty tissue. So even if you just get slightly bumped and it doesn't show a major impact on the tissue in the video, doesn't mean that's not what caused the swelling. And I know they were trying to point to a punch, but in this situation, it's like an NFL touchdown that the guy fumbles before the end zone. They're going to review it 700 times. They're going to get every angle, and they're going to see if his knee was down. No,
minutes?
not in the NFL. No.
Seen that in the NFL for 27 minutes?
No. And also, you wouldn't see an owner or a coach coming over to the replay booth and bitching like Bob Arum did in his quarantine outfit. I don't know if you guys saw that part, but Bob Arum walked right over and he's in like sweatpants and a sweatshirt. And they had to push him away. They had to usher him away. So yeah, I don't know how you could call that professionally reviewed, but that is my only point on it.
There was like a disagreement even with Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley over this. But as you're watching it, the fighting in close, and yeah, there is going to be, and the heads could have come together a little bit. Now, the one thing that's funny about any type of facial injury, and I'm going to liken this to a fight that I remember watching years ago. Especially with swelling, it could be caused from one punch. You go, a guy lands a punch, maybe he lands on the right spot, maybe he just bruises the right spot at the right angle or the right cheekbone or something, and it just pops immediately. Sometimes, a person can get hit there 500 times, maybe show a minor abrasion. It's just a way that, I guess, the fist with the skin and the skin contacts with the bone. It's basically an imperfect science. I remember watching where, and I don't remember who it was, but the fight was, relatively, competitive early on, and a clash of heads. And it gets called a clash of heads correctly. So now fighter A is cut. And now fighter B is behind the cards. So if the fight gets stopped, it goes to the cards. He loses. But, are you telling him don't injury? Because you figure he targets the injury, maybe the guy can't see, he lands a good right hand and scores a knockout. But if he targets it too much and the fight gets stopped, it goes to the cards and he loses. That was just one that I just remember it, for whatever reason. But like with this one, it was like, I remember the first round, they were fighting in close, it was competitive, and then they're like, hey, swelling. Some swelling on the eye. It looks like it's closing. And then as the second round goes on, it's getting progressively worse. And it's like, the fight stopped. Okay, shit. All right, what's going to happen here now? And they're a little butt. Now, back in the day, if it was ruled a butt, it was ruled a butt. And that's, didn't matter what the replay said. Now that you have the advantage, they couldn't get it right. And that was, you're right, that was very frustrating.
And especially testator's mom. Well, now Bob Bennett has lots of integrity, and he has decades of experience. And I'm thinking, are we thinking of the same commissioner? My God! And then did you notice how quick they dropped everything when the ruling happened? It was not even talked about.
Yeah, obviously, if it was a punch, Maloney deserved to get the win. But, I mean, it's not a scientific process. You can't really determine one way or the other what it was. But it's like the NFL because the referee made the decision, so you have to have indisputable evidence to overturn it with the replay situation. Same deal. And so in that case, I guess I would say that, in the lawyer speak of, having that experience, you can't even sue over it, because there is evidence there was a head clash. You can play the video a million times. And
yeah, I just know what I see.
Yeah.
I know what I watch, and I think most fans agree with me.
Yeah.
It's a fight. The Tony's point is so well taken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, where are we going with this? And it always seems to work. It's almost like you can figure out what's going to happen before it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as far as about how the ruling's going to go. And I don't know if they have a lot of money behind the new champ. I don't know if he's just a big draw. If there was some reason that they were favoring him for whatever reason. Who knows? But,
and then we had, of course, the main event, Mr. Crawford.
Yeah.
I said it was going to be easy work for him. Guy got 2 losses. You guys didn't believe me. He said it was going to be competitive.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call it easy work, though. If you go back and you score those first 3 rounds, Kell Brook may have taken over.
Yeah, he had a slow start. Yeah, that's all.
Crawford always does.
Yeah.
Crawford is a notorious slow starter, and a lot of times, because he is, such a fighter and he's such a tremendous finisher, I always wonder if he is going to run, and this could very well happen if he does the fight with Errol Spence, provided Spence beats Danny Garcia. That maybe the Sugar Ray Leonard syndrome could happen to Crawford, where he gives up too many rounds early. Maybe he comes out fighting in a conventional stance, just like he did the other day. He is a known, switch hitter, goes orthodox, goes southpaw. I think a lot of times his better work comes out of just like Marvin Hagler did. And, Hagler made that mistake in the Leonard fight where he opened the fight orthodox under the first 4 rounds. Now you have to win 7 of 8 to get the decision. Could Crawford make a mistake where he takes starts a fight extremely slow, gives away a few rounds, and now he's backed in a corner, and maybe he's in a guy who has never been knocked out. Maybe, you run into that situation where it's like you've painted yourself into that corner, get out of it, and I don't know. I mean, once he turned up the heat, it was, You
there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh. Anyway, yeah.
Tell me you missed that monologue. I just went off one.
No, very good points. And I guess the jury's in. Kell Brook is a shot fighter.
Yeah,
I guess considering the beatings, those 2 beatings from Spence and then Triple G, he's never been the same, and looks like he never will be. But I agree. I mean, I think on my card he had the first 3 rounds, and
yeah.
Well, I think what my big prejudice was going into that fight is I've actually watched a little bit of Kell Brook, and in the tail end of his career here, and I saw a couple fights of his, and I just was like, this is not a guy who should be practicing the up jab. He leaves his left hand, his front hand. I don't know if when he's southpaw or whatever he is, but he leaves his left hand low all the time. He leaves his face right out in front, and it's just a horrible defense. And he throws the up jab, and that's why he does it. And not everybody can be Floyd Mayweather. I say this all the time. And sometimes I say white guys can't do it ever. Don't even try it. But some black guys can get away with it. I don't know. It's the fast twitch muscle thing, I believe. But you have to have the shoulder roll as well, which Floyd perfected. Nobody else really does it like him.
Yeah.
And Kell Brook just does it and leaves it down there and doesn't bring it up. Doesn't always have at least one hand up by his chin to block punches. It's a very poor defense for a boxer at his level. And he could get away with it before because he's fast and he's powerful. But as you age as a boxer, you can't get away with that shit anymore. If you're 1 second slower, you're going to get blasted right in that spot. They're looking for that. So that was kind of my thoughts going. I didn't really say it last week, but that was kind of the reason why I kind of shortchanged Kell Brook, just for his, even though he had world-class fighters,
well,
2 losses.
Yeah, I don't think me and Tony were totally wrong. We did say it could be interesting. We didn't predict that Brook would win, but I just thought that it would go a little longer and be a little more competitive.
I was saying around 8 or 9 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what doing well in the first 3 rounds that I liked. He was doing almost like a herky-jerky type of counter. So especially when Crawford came out in the first round orthodox, where, and they were, measuring each other. It was feeling out process. And, Crawford with the longer arms, he has the reach advantage, right? But what Brook was doing, Crawford was throwing his jab. Brook would kind of time it, and instead of jabbing with him, he would counter his jab with the jab. So you jab with a guy where you time their jab and you land yours at the same time. What Brook was doing was letting Crawford lead with the jab, almost like stepping away, like stepping back, and then stepping in real fast with his own. And he landed a few of them. He landed a nice uppercut in the 3rd round. He landed a good left hook in the 3rd round. I'm like, man, he landed some good punches. But when Crawford committed to fighting southpaw, that neutralized Kell Brook's jab. They always say, like, a guy that has a great jab sometimes will struggle with the southpaw because their hands often play patty cake. And when Crawford started doing that, you could see that it was starting to neutralize Brook's offense. And when he tried that herky-jerky move, Crawford timed his counter and countered the counter with his right hook, which pretty much effectively ended the fight.
Oh. Who the hell is this guy? Is what it is. Well, the problem is, like, with fighters like that,
Well,
when they have that kind of a...
news out of Philadelphia for you guys.
Oh, what was that?
Well, we just got the news that they're shutting us down again, the city at least. So we had 2 fight cards in Philadelphia in December. I couldn't make either one of those work both nights. But they're both off now. At least I know the one's definitely off. And I'm sure the other one's going to follow suit. But the one fight was going to be on Friday night, December 11th. That was going to be Sonny Conto, who's, I believe, 6-0 with 5 knockouts. Was going to be his first fight since January, because of the COVID. And, we wanted to see how he was going to progress in his career. And then another kid that I feel so bad for right now, he announced on, social media that the fight's been postponed, has been Christian Cardone. Christian was, a very good bantamweight prospect, was a highly touted amateur, was doing very well in his career, and then he's the one that suffered that loss a couple years ago that I was there, where he got, fighting a veteran, former world title challenger, got caught with a left hand in the second round, got knocked out, ended up going out on a stretcher, and he's been aching to get back. And like when he first had that loss, Russell Peltz came out and said, like, I would recommend this kid not even step in the gym for at least 2 months. Just clear your head, make sure you're healthy, and then when you come back, come back. And 6 months after that fight, Christian was supposed to fight in Atlantic City. About 4 or 5 friends and I were all going to go, and the whole card got canceled. Then he was going to fight in March. Obviously, that didn't happen with the COVID. So now he just announced a couple weeks ago, hey, I'm fighting December 12th, 2300 Arena, South Philly. I'm anxious. I'm ready to go. And he posted a couple days ago, nope, Philadelphia's being shut down again. No sporting events. Nothing. I'm on the shelf again.
Fucking COVID. What are you going to do?
What can you do?
Well, supposedly there's vaccines ready to go. Well, 95% effective is one of them.
They got two. One,
the other one has a catch, though. You got to keep it at like minus 92 degrees Celsius in a special freezer. So it's going to be difficult to transport. But the other one, it can be just in a regular refrigerator. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, you figure, if they both get, like, Pfizer's going for their approval tomorrow, and the other one by next week, and AstraZeneca with Oxford over in England expects to have their data by Christmas. Approval by, like, New Year's. So you figure if each one of them, can do so many million doses in the U.S., well, you think good. So by, the beginning of the year, you already got maybe even a tenth of the country started. That's good, right? Started.
We'll see. That's if everybody takes it. Ha ha ha. Anyway.
Well, you know what? But here's let's take the 3 of us. So let's say the 3 of us are going to a fight, and like I said, and trust me, I'm not making assumptions on any of the 3. For argument's sake, say Tom and I say, you know what, we want to be safe. We're going to take it, because we don't want to risk getting it. We don't want to risk transmitting it. And Rich, just say you're the guy that says, you know what, I'm not putting anything in my body that doesn't belong in there. I'm on that nation. Well, you look at it like this. If there's no threat of then Tom and I giving it to you because we're vaccinated, 94% that we're not going to get it anyway, so we're not going to be transmitting it to you. And you, even if you got it, there's 94% chance you won't be giving it to us. So back when this whole shit started, apparently, it was like one person gives it to 10, 10 give it to 100, 100 give it to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, and so on and so forth. So that's how it spreads. So
and then comes COVID-20.
Yeah, and if you're eliminating, where that spread. So say of the three of us, you can't spread it to us. We can't. It's likely we're not going to be able to transmit it anymore. Then things should be able to get back to normal, hopefully sooner than later.
Right.
I'm just trying to be, because I want to go to my events anymore. I'm a social guy, I had a friend over who's driving up tonight, and she said there's a rumor that like Ticketmaster anymore will not allow you, and this could be people talk about a government takeover. Ticketmaster may not allow you to attend events. To say, Rich, you're up in Boston, you want to catch a Red Sox game or a Patriots game, you're buying your ticket through Ticketmaster. They could be like, nope, you have a record that you're not vaccinated, so you can't attend this game. I think that's complete and total bullshit, but I mean, when you lost 250,000 people in 6 months, and how many million of the 11 million have been infected, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so.
Well then, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But a couple other news items before we do a little bit more review of results. Mike Tyson. We got a couple Mike Tyson stories. Okay. We got the whole team behind the pay-per-view getting announced. But before that, we got a story from Mike Tyson's podcast that involves some of the stuff that's been put out there about Tommy Morrison. And it repeats the lie about that he died of HIV. But before that, he got into a discussion about fighters who got drunk before they got in the ring. That he didn't mention names, but he said, listen, there have been fighters that did it. They can't fight without drinking. They've got to be drunk to fight. They ain't got the nerve. They've got to be drunk. World champions. They can't do this shit without no motherfucking alcohol. On my right hand to God. So then it somehow shifted towards HIV and how he was deathly afraid he was going to get it. And it mentions, Tommy Morrison's situation. He was at that fight. And this is the part that I sent a text message to Tommy's widow, Trisha, about this because this is Tyson's exact quote. He said, I used to always be afraid to take the AIDS tests. I'm at a fight, and Tommy the Duke Morrison was about to fight. He's the main event. And then a doctor, who is a friend of mine, comes in and says, nah, he's not fighting tonight. I don't think he's ever going to fight again. And I'm saying, like, wow, he must be really hurt or something, right? But he said, no, Mike, you'll find out. He didn't really want to tell me there. He said, no, you're going to find out. But he already knew and found the guy had HIV, and they canceled this fight, the main event. And I'm like, fuck, if he got it, I know he didn't get more pussy than me and don't do shit that I do. I'm like, fuck, I'm dead. Fuck. That's an exact quote from his show. And it's funny because it's Mike Tyson, but it's not funny that they actually published in this article that he died of HIV, which is not true. We know from talking to her. In 2013, it says they eventually passed away due to HIV in 2013. So yeah, not very good job tracking the story down there. But yeah, Mike Tyson, give it to Tyson to share the inner workings The sweet science. And it kind of reminded me when I read that story of our boy, Bert Cooper, running with his 40-ounce. Remember that story?
That was one of my old block haven teammates who told me that. They said because he was from Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania, down by the Philadelphia airport, where Bert Cooper was from. And he'd be like, "Yeah, but I would see Bert in the morning out running with his 40." What? and I'm like, and you know what? I mean, even with when he had trained with
God rest his soul, he has died.
Issues, he would come out. Like you knew, like there were times like he would end the thing, and he hadn't trained, and it was a shame because he was a talented fighter, but sometimes it was like he was depending on what guy you got to show up.
Right.
The fought Holyfield that night would have given anybody hell. The version of him that fought George Foreman was not good.
Right. So anyway, we've got quite the team behind the pay-per-view for the Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. fight at the end of this month here, the 28th. Our boy, former guest, Al Bernstein, is going to provide play-by-play. We've never had on the show, but we'd like to. Sugar Ray Leonard, also on the broadcast team.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
And he's going to partner up with another guy we ought to have on the show sometime when his tit heals. Israel Adesanya. But they're going to both be analysts, which is interesting because I don't know how much of a boxing fan Adesanya is, but I don't think we've ever really had a strict mixed martial artist commentate such a big boxing match like this. But he's obviously appreciative of the situation. He says, "It's surreal that I'm actually given the opportunity to witness these two living legends compete ringside. I grew up watching these two boxing icons in the ring, and I'm honored to be on the sidelines commentating on one of the greatest comeback fights of all time. Never mind that you're doing it with another icon." So, yeah. Michael Buffer also going to be involved. He's going to do the $1 million line. Let's get ready to rumble. We know that, says I interviewed Bruce Buffer, who does his contracts. He says he makes $1 million every time he says, let's get ready to rumble. And he makes actually a lot more in royalties for people that use the recording of him saying it officially. It's been used in a lot of media, to say the least. But anyway, actually I saw another story that's totally unrelated the other day about something I had never heard of, but apparently Bruce Buffer actually got in a real fight in an elevator with Frank Trigg years ago, and just about ripped his finger off. And the two of them were just going at it as Dana White was just standing there watching. And I guess one of them had a watch. I guess it was Trigg had a watch on, and Buffer cut his finger open real bad. Had to go to the hospital over it. But they really didn't say who won, but they were both just furiously punching each other in an elevator. So yeah, I guess.
Well, you know what? It's a good place to have a fight because there's nowhere to run.
Yeah. Like a fight in a phone booth. Yeah. Steven Dorff is going to be in a new MMA film called Embattled. And his inspiration is none other than Conor McGregor. Steven Dorff was actually in the film adaptation of one of my favorite books called The Power of One. They made a movie out of it. Very, very poorly done movie. Considering the real plot of the book was much different. But they did the best they could with Hollywood style. But the guy's going to be called Cash that he plays. And he told the interviewer here in this story from Fansided that Conor McGregor was one of the fighters that he watched closely while portraying this role. He called Conor arguably the biggest lightweight champion and admitted that a lot of Cash's character traits were drawn from the Notorious, such as his confidence and swagger. He says, I know a lot about the sport, not everything, but I watch a lot of fights. It's hard not to. One of the main people that I pulled from this character was arguably the biggest lightweight champion we have, which is Conor McGregor. I called a lot from him. I kind of stripped back the Irish and all the other stuff and said, what if this guy was more southern and he's from Alabama? That's how he was written. Obviously took some of his confidence, some of his pizzazz. But anyway, Stephen Dorff said that he also took a look at legendary boxer Floyd Mayweather for his talent as well as his business mind, as he wanted to play Cash as a skilled fighter and a smart businessman. Oh, well, geez, you don't find those two together too often, right? Anyway, so that's kind of crazy. They're both guys who have fought each other, and he used them to put in the same character. But the movie also has real-life fighters, Tyron Woodley, Kenny Florian, and Donald Cerrone. So it's going to be interesting. We'll keep an eye out for that. Here's the official description. Raised by an abusive father, Cash, Stephen Dorff, channels his aggression to become a world champion MMA fighter. Now accustomed to wealth, adulation, and global popularity, he faces a new challenge when his second son is born with Williams syndrome. But this time, rather than stand and fight, he runs. While Cash continues to make his fortune in the ring, his eldest son, Jet, becomes the caregiver to his younger brother, Quinn. When Jet decides to follow his father's fighting footsteps and take to the fight game, he faces his past head-on, embarking on a course inevitably pitting father versus son in a battle which, no matter the outcome, neither can win. Well, that sounds like a complicated plot. That's like a slight variation of Warrior. Speaking of Floyd, he is coming back to the ring for another exhibition in Japan. February 28th. It'll be the first time he's taken part in a Japanese showcase since he beat the crap out of an up-and-coming fighter until the guy cried. I'm not even joking. Tenshin Nasukawa. Yeah. He got floored by Floyd. This guy is a kickboxer. I think he was undefeated at the time. 3 times in one round. Just blew him right out using the regular Queensberry rules. And made the guy cry. So he's going back there February 28th. He's going to do it again. I don't think he's going to have a rematch. But it's actually going to be on an MMA fight card. But there's no evidence or suggestion that Floyd is going to go by any kind of MMA rule set for whoever he's fighting. We don't really know yet. It's interesting, though. Alright, so last week we had UFC Fight Night 182. And boy, I really screwed the pooch. I could have won some money on this one. Maybe not all the marbles, but I had it going good, except for the fight that they canceled the day of. And I hadn't looked and seen the notice that it was off. But Louis Smolka was supposed to be fighting. And I guess he had sickness the day of, and so they called his fight off. And I had picked him. So on my FanDuel lineup, I just totally missed the money when that happened. But I also totally missed the cheapest guy on the fight card, which was Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Was not expected to win at all, and boy did he win. Probably got a bonus. I didn't follow up on who got bonuses, but they call him Chaos. Kalen Williams beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan with a knockout 30 seconds in. It was one of the only knockouts of the night. There was 2 knockouts, period. It was actually getting pretty frustrating because, you score the big points on the cards with the knockout wins. So in some cases, people with losses, because they had gone to decision, and they had the point accumulation of all the takedowns and punches, they were still winning the whole contest on FanDuel because, they picked the right winners. But anyway, there's one knockout. Before that was Sean Strickland over Brendan Allen. That was a TKO, 1 minute and 32 seconds into the second round. And the rest was decisions. The whole entire card. I got the main event right. Rafael dos Anjos, that was my MVP, but I believe Chaos Williams was the one that you had to have. And you had to not have the Smoker fight at all.
How about that stare down he had?
Chaos?
That was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, his work in George Foreman intimidation. And, hey, it worked.
Yeah.
They don't knock success. I mean, we don't know, but I mean, the guy that he fought with was great. So we'll see how he can keep doing it.
Yes, sir. The first fight of the night I got right, Dontel Mays over Roque Martinez. Second fight of the night, I actually picked McKee. He was actually a knockout victim of the Russian dude, Chimaev, I think. He was just going nuts and just mowing through people, and it was like a one-punch knockout. So I figured this kid's got a lot to prove, so I went with him. And he fought a guy named Alex Morono, who was high on the price list, but, he did have a very well-rounded record. And I kind of expected him to win, but I was like, if this guy's so cheap, and he might pull off a win, I'm going to go with McKee. But I'll tell you, boy, one of the sloppiest, ugliest, least technical fighters I've ever seen, McKee, and absolutely horrible defense. But he's a scrapper. And boy, he hung in all 3 rounds. And he landed a couple thud blows. Nothing that really stunned Morono to the point where he was in big trouble. But he's got a lot to learn, this McKee kid. Definitely one of the sloppiest fights I've ever seen. But yeah, it's like when you go to a new gym, boxing gym, and they go, "Oh yeah, you've had some boxing experience. Why don't you fight this nutcase off the street who's 21-0 in street fights and doesn't know the rules?" Okay, you might beat him, but it ain't gonna be easy. Anyway. Tony Gravely over Geraldo de Freitas Jr. by split decision in the third fight of the night. Another one I got right, Kanako Murata. I picked her over Randa Marcos. I was hoping for a submission win, but no, it was a unanimous decision. Randa, although she's up and down, she rarely gets knocked out or tapped out. She's tough as nails in that department. Then Corey McKenna over Kay Hansen. I did pick that wrong, but like I said, sometimes the losing fighters scored more than some of the winners, and she got some good scoring for that. It was a close fight. I thought she won. I didn't agree with that decision, but it is what it is. Sean Strickland, like I said, got the only knockout other than the co-main event. Then we had Ashley Yoder over Miranda Granger by unanimous decision. In the main event, boy, that was more exciting than a lot of people thought it would be. One judge actually gave it to Felder. I don't see how that was possible. But Rafael dos Anjos did enough to win on the other 2 cards. Gets his 31st win to go with 13 losses. Paul goes to 17-7. And boy, he hung in there. He really did pretty well for 5 days' notice.
And how about his impassioned plea at the end about making weight?
Yeah.
Did you catch his interview?
Yeah, it was funny because
he was in.
My girlfriend doesn't watch a lot of fights, but she was watching it because I had to watch it on my free feed on the computer there, and so we had it plugged into the big TV, and she's like, "Why are they interviewing him?" Because she knows after watching these fights, they only usually interview the winner. So I'm like, well, he's an announcer, and he did take this on 5 days' notice. So, sometimes in the main event too, they do always interview both fighters. But they made a special exception for him, I'm sure. And he's got blood coming down his face doing the interview. But yeah, I did catch his comment on, if I can do it on 5 days' notice, these guys got no excuse. Crazy. But yeah, Dos Anjos did what he had to do. He fought a very technical fight. Didn't make a lot of mistakes. And Felder really, his biggest problem was being too hesitant. When he was really bowling forward and mixing his punches together and fighting with a little desperation, he did win a round or two. But, he was able to kind of fall into the trap, or not able, but he kind of got forced into falling into the trap of Dos Anjos, and ended up most of the fight at a disadvantage. So, rematch with a full training camp might be a different story, but this time out, I just didn't have enough. Didn't have the right strategy early enough, I guess. That's really what it was. That was a tough one. Got the warrior spirit, that's for sure. He saved the card. Now this weekend we have again in Las Vegas, Devison Figueiredo versus Alex Perez in the main event. Figueiredo's 19-1. Alex Perez is 24-5. And we got a female co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko, 19-3, fighting Jennifer Maia, who is, did I see this correctly? Oh, no. I thought it was 18-0-1. 18-6-1, Jennifer Maia. I don't know much about her. I don't know how big a fight that's going to be. I don't really know much about the main event fighters. But then we got another one. Tim Means, 30-12, fighting Mike Perry, 14-6. And we do know a lot about Mike Perry. He likes to scrap. Whether it's in a bar, in a cage, it don't matter. He will fight you. He'll have his girlfriend as his corner woman. He don't care. So he's on the card. Jim Means has a lot of experience, but also it's got double the amount of losses. So I don't know. It's kind of a good fight on paper, I guess. We'll see if it translates into the cage. Caitlin Chikagian, 14-4, fighting Cynthia Calvillo, who's 9-1-1. Great female fight there. And Mauricio Hua, back in action, 27-11-1, fighting Paul Craig, who's 13-4-1. Couple oldies but goodies there. Brandon Moreno, also on the card. McLovin is what they call him. He looks exactly like that character from the movie. 17-5-1 there, fighting Brandon Royval, who is 12-4. And we got Joaquin Buckley, famous for the heel kick there. The guy grabbed his leg and he spun up and hit the guy with the heel kick. He is 11-3, fighting Jordan Wright, who comes in undefeated at 11-0. So we'll have to see if this guy's really as good as his record shows. And we got the other Shevchenko sisters fighting on the same card here. Antonina, 8-2, fighting Ariane Lipsky, who is 13-5. Fourth fight of the night, Nicholas Dalby, 18-3-1, fighting Daniel Rodriguez, who's 13-1. Alan Joban, 16-7, fighting Jared Gooden, who is 17-4. And it looks like he could be related to Dwight Gooden. He kind of has that look about him. I don't know if he really is. Second fight of the night, Kyle Daukas, who is 9-1, fighting Dustin Stoltzfus, who is 13-1. First fight, Luis Koske, who is 7-0, fighting Sasha Palatnikov, who is 5-2. And I'm just checking Jordan Wright's record here real quick. 11-0, fighting Joaquin Buckley. Gotta see who he's fought. One UFC fight, and the rest of them, he had a no contest on Dana White's Contender Series. Gabriel Checo was his last win before his first UFC fight, which was a win over Isaac Villanueva in August of this year. 1 minute and 31 seconds into the first. Doctor stoppage TKO. And it was LFA, AFC, Gladiator Challenge. He hasn't been on the big stage very long. And, Joaquin, I don't know, let's see what his record is. Just thinking for FanDuel. Joaquin's probably the one to go with if he has more experience. But he's got a little bit more high-level experience. He's had a little bit of Bellator and a UFC Fight Night win there over Impa Kasangani. He called it a spinning back kick. And before that, he lost in the third round to Kevin Holland in a UFC Fight Night, also in August of 2020. So yeah, it should be a pretty decent matchup. I like Joaquin in that one. Bellator 253 is going on right now. We'll go over that real quick. They got that big switch. They switched to Thursday night on CBS Sports Network. I guess because they don't have a whole lot of sports to go up against, except for the NFL. You know, just that. Sullivan Cauley in the first fight beat Jason Markland by TKO 28 seconds into the fight. Kahim Murray over Little Kimbo lost by unanimous decision. Kevin Ferguson Jr. J.J. Wilson beating Sergio Dibari by knockout 20 seconds into that one. By the way, Baby Slice, as they used to call him, I don't know if they still call him that, but Baby Slice said that his father would have been over the moon with the new bare knuckle boxing craze. He would have done some damage there. No doubt about it. But if they had checked for steroids, I don't know. If they're doing that, he might have a problem, because he did get popped for almost all of his last few fights. But it is what it is. J.J. Wilson, I said, got the win. Jaleel Willis over Mark Lemminger by unanimous decision. Jeremy Kennedy over Matt Bassett by unanimous decision. Rafion Stotts over Keith Lee by unanimous decision. And you guessed it, Joey Davis over Bobby Lee by unanimous decision. Bobby Lee and Keith Lee, I wonder if they're related. I don't think so. They don't really look alike. And we got coming up right now, or on right now, I'm not sure, Benson Henderson versus Jason Jackson. And then we got the main event is Darian Caldwell versus AJ McKee. Darian is 15-3, AJ is 16-0. So that'll be a good one. Also, we didn't talk about another result from last week in boxing. Miriam Gutierrez took her first loss against Katie Taylor, the great Irish hope for the females. 17-0 is her new record with 6 knockouts. It was a unanimous decision win. But yeah, great news for her. Great work. We talked about Crawford, and we got Saturday. Saturday is a slow day for boxing. We talk about relatives of other fighters in the UFC there, in the Bellator card. But we also have one of the biggest fights of this week is a Ben, B-E-N-N, Nigel Ben's son, I believe, or nephew.
Would have to be. I would hope so.
Yeah. Conor Ben at welterweight, fighting in the United Kingdom. He's the main event against Sebastian Formella for the WBA Continental Welterweight title. And Conor 16-0, Formella 22-1. That's going to be a good one. It's either nephew or son. I want to say nephew. I could be wrong. Anyway, we also have a heavyweight fight on the card, and it happens to be our new category of fights, the Fabio fight of the week. Fabio Wardley, who is undefeated at 9-0, fighting Richard Lartey, who is 14-3. Interesting stuff. And we got a fight in Los Angeles worth mentioning here. We got Javier Fortuna at lightweight, 35-2-1, fighting Antonio Lozada Torres, who has 40 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. And then down in Tampa, Florida, got a couple interesting fights. Harold Calderon at welterweight, 22-0, fighting Gustavo David Vittori, who is 23-6-1. And co-main event there is Radivoj Kaladzic, who is 24-2 at light heavyweight, fighting Denis Grayshev, who is 20-10 with 1 draw. Well, we got our Elvis fight of the week too, making his pro debut. Elvis Cardenas, fighting Juwan Jones, who is 0-1. So Elvis should do pretty well. And guess who's fighting right after Elvis Cardenas? You're never going to guess this one. He used to have a talk show host. He used to be a talk show host who was very popular, but never got to the level of Jay Leno or David Letterman. But he was on at night.
Conan O'Brien?
Oh, no. Arsenio Hall. He's a super middleweight. Spelled exactly the same way.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I don't know how he is as a fighter, but his knowledge of boxing always seemed pretty astute in coming to America.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny because, the thing just popped up on my Facebook the other day, and the day I met Mike Tyson in Vegas and gave him the glove to sign, it was a Muhammad Ali signature series glove, so it had Muhammad Ali's signature actually printed on the leather of the glove. It's not an actual signature. So, reason I got that glove and picked it out for him to sign was because I saw a clip on the Arsenio Hall show where Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson were on the same show. Or at different times, maybe it was. And anyway, he had asked Muhammad Ali if Tyson would have beat him. And he said yes. Muhammad Ali said yeah, he would have. So, you can debate that forever, whether it was, a real admission or not. But, this was shortly before Muhammad Ali lost all that speech and ability to converse like that. But Mike Tyson, of course, was, way past thinking about fighting at this point when I met him. Nowhere close to the shape he's in now. And I told him this little thing about why I got the glove, and he's just like, man, I can't beat anybody. So it was funny. And I asked him to be on the radio show, and he's like, I don't know, man. He's definitely a softie at that point. But yeah, Arsenio Hall is 0-1. Go figure. Age 31. Born in 1989, so I don't know. I guess he could be Arsenio's son. He's fighting Terrence Smalls. No, that's who he just lost to. I think. No, that's his opponent this weekend. Terrence Smalls, who's 0-8. So his 0-1 actually didn't come to a slouch. He must have some experience because they threw him to the wolf. Jaye Brown, 7-0. They've made this guy fighting his pro debut. That's sinful. Anyway, yeah, 0-1. Arsenio Hall. That's a new one. I have to get him on the show so we can put it on our broadcast on Facebook and everything. We've got Arsenio Hall on the show tonight.
I'll tell you, it's funny. It came up in my Facebook memories probably about 2 months ago. And it came up, so it was like, a couple years ago on this date, you posted this. And I was like, big guest on our show tonight. Has anybody ever heard of a guy named Mike Tyson? So people, of course, are flipping out. Oh, my God, Mike Tyson. And like, oh, are you going to ask him this? Well, are you going to ask him this? I said, whoa. I never said I was interviewing Mike Tyson. I said, you heard of him. That was when we were interviewing Peter McNeely.
Oh, yeah.
I said, we were interviewing his first opponent after he got out of prison. That's stupid shit like that, dude. Like, you always see my Facebook post where I hit a scratch off lottery ticket for $10,000, and people get all excited. Oh, my God, you know, I said, oh, listen, I never said dollars, people. 10,000 pennies to $100. The other year, speaking of lottery, I was at it was like the Powerball was up to like $750 million or something. Of course, I had the winning ticket. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I got a couple ideas on what I'm going to do when I win this lottery. This is before I had my Phillies outfit redone. And I was like, I'm going to get my Phillies outfit redone. I'm going to have fiber optic lights planted in it like Chris Jericho's jacket, so when it's dark, all you can see is him. And then I said, then I'm going to get a Zamboni.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's like, why? I'm like, so I could, on a snowy day, I can ride over to my friend's house and deliver beer, like, you know, like the beer genie. And I was like, and then I'm going to get the Phillies mascot, Philly Fanatic, has that hot dog shooter that hit that woman in the face that time. I said, I'm going to get one of them, too. And someone's like, you know, we could do a lot better things with that money. I said, whoa, what's this we shit? I said, you can take that W, turn it upside down, because there ain't no we, it's only a me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really are a dick. I'm like, I know. They're like, are you going to forget me if you get rich? I'm like, absolutely.
Wow.
It's my charm.
Yeah. Well, we got one other fight to mention, too, for this weekend. Steve Claggett versus Dave Thoreau up there in Quebec, Canada, at the Hotel Rimouski, Quebec. Steve Claggett is 28-6-2 at super lightweight, fighting David Thoreau, who's 16-3. And for the vacant NABA super lightweight title. Super lightweight co-main event, Yves Ulysses Jr., 18-2, fighting Matthew Germain, who's 18-1-1. For the vacant World Boxing Council Francophone super lightweight title, and the vacant NABF super lightweight title. Yeah, this is kind of a poor one, but it's the first one I've seen. Somebody's always got to go at super welterweight here. Rafael Korchesny, who is 8-0, fighting Josh Wagner, who's 6-0. Good matchup on paper there. And I think that's it for big fights this weekend. Unless you want to talk about Jinping Yang. A lot of Japanese and Chinese fights. Nothing else. I don't see a Jesus fight yet. I'm looking. You gotta save the show with a Jesus fight. Flores. Lots of Floreses and Garcias. But no Jesuses. I don't see one. Here we got a Kyle Merriweather. Floyd. Yep, I don't see any. Oh, we can do the little find thing. We'll cheat. Doesn't even have that. I guess not. It's not slick like that. Alright, you guys got anything else to add? I think that's all for my content.
I think that's pretty much all I got. And I guess next Thursday's Thanksgiving. So.
Next week is Thanksgiving.
It is. So I always make the same sarcastic Facebook post every year, and I can't do them this year because it was like, well, one, as I always do, hey, next week, if you're going to take a shy girl out on Thanksgiving night, don't take her to the ice skating rink because you have to ask if they're closed to the general public, if they're just closed to everybody. Obviously, no ice skating rink will be open so I can't make that lame Rocky comment. The one I'm going to make this year was because none of my family are going to host any dinners. Thanksgiving, my other aunt would host Christmas and so on and so forth. So, because I have a couple relatives with, at risk. And
have you seen the meme?
Vulnerability.
Have you seen the meme that Iceman John Scully shared today with Jeffrey Dahmer saying?
Someone shared a few things.
Jeffrey Dahmer's pictures on it, and it says, "Nobody can tell me how many people I can have for Thanksgiving." Jeffrey Dahmer.
Well, like I said, I got a couple relatives that are high risk, so I think my comment this year is, since we can go out for dinner, Thanksgiving and have dinner together, me and the Turtles are going to have Spam. Because that was, once again, Rocky was like, he got Thanksgiving, last year me and the Turtles just had Spam.
He still has them, right? Are they still alive? The Turtles? He kept them for years. I don't know if they're still alive.
Yeah, he still has them.
He still has them.
Those things lived for like 100 years or whatever. Those things are outlived him.
Yeah.
Tough and Link.
Tough and Link. Too crazy. All right, fellas. Till next week. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, guys. 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. We'll just do no show next week. No point in rearranging times or anything. We'll skip it. We'll do it the week after. Double show. And
you guys have a happy and healthy and safe holiday.
We talked about it earlier, but
same to you.
We're going to try to get Tricia back on the show to talk about round 2 of what's going on with the lawsuit and all that. Not thinking that next Thursday was actually Thanksgiving. I suggested next Thursday.
Yeah.
But also next show will be our 100th episode on Spreaker, believe it or not. Our 100th episode. So
really?
Got to kind of commemorate it. All right. Well, so see you 2 weeks from now.
Okay. All right, sounds good, man. All right, later.
Adios.